Boy, is there a lot of noise out there about private exclusive listings, and most of it is coming from people that have actually never used these strategically, and oftentimes it's coming from agents that don't really have a strong private exclusive tool or application to offer their clients. So it ends up just misinforming a lot of people out there that could actually leverage this tool in a way that benefits them personally. But there's a lot of noise, agents saying they should never be used, they hurt sellers, they cost them money, they always end up on the MLS anyway. So this video is meant to clarify a lot of these misconceptions and provide a little bit more information about private exclusives. First, what is a private exclusive? Well, a private exclusive listing is basically a real estate listing that is available for purchase, but it is only marketed through a single brokerage or a private network, and it's not listed on the MLS and available for all the brokerages across the board or the websites like Zillow or realtor.com to actually pull these listings into their feed. So it is essentially marketed off the MLS, and it's done so for a few different reasons. So let's jump into the 3 misconceptions I see regarding private exclusives. Misconception number 1 is that private exclusive listings always hurt sellers financially. It is best to get the property put in front of as many people as possible, and you can only do that through the MLS, and that's going to end up netting the sellers the most possible money because it increases the competition for the home. Now, generally speaking, that is absolutely the case. If you are only shooting for boosting the price point, the purchase price point of the home, and nothing else matters to you, it absolutely makes the most sense to eventually go on the MLS and put your property in front of as many people as possible. It's really common sense. But the private exclusives come into play for a number of different reasons. The first reason that sellers might leverage a private exclusive listing is they're just not ready to go on the MLS yet. So maybe there's some cleanup to do, maybe there's some light painting, some light renovation work. The property is just not ready to show to the public at large and start acquiring days on market just yet. Maybe the family has an elderly parent or something that they're moving out of the home. This happens a lot more often than people realize, I think, where mom or dad is being moved in with a relative or into an assisted living facility. Whatever it might be, the home needs to be sort of purged, cleaned out, things put into storage, things given to family members. They are eventually going to sell the home, eventually going to put it on the MLS, and they know that's coming down the pike, but they're not quite ready to start acquiring days on market yet. But that said, they still are open to selling the home for the right price if the right buyer comes along and is willing to purchase it. So therefore, it makes sense to market the home without acquiring days on market because they are open to selling. They know what a fair price is likely to be. And even if they're gonna leave a little bit of money on the table, it might make more sense to them if they're fast tracking the timeline and they are going to be at the closing table by the time they finish cleaning the home out and getting it ready to actually put on the market. The key thing to remember here is that flexibility can be valuable to the homeowner, and value is not always simply measured by the highest possible price point. Misconception number 2 is that if the property ends up on the MLS when it started as a private exclusive, that it failed as a private exclusive, and that is simply not true. In many cases, in most cases I might even say, the entire point of listing as a private exclusive is as a positioning strategy. You are testing the pricing, you are testing the positioning, you are trying to get feedback from the buyers and real estate agents out there on how to proceed successfully when you do eventually go on the MLS. So to clarify, it's not a failure, it is a controlled, intentional rollout. It's no different than a soft launch for a restaurant or a coming soon phase of a product out there on the market. The important thing to remember about how this actually can protect our sellers is when they do go on the MLS, they do so with confidence in the pricing, clear positioning, and without public history working against them. Misconception number 3 around private exclusives is that agents are simply leveraging this tool in order to double end deals. So they want to let the buyers out there know that they have access to listings that not all agents have. and they are trying to leverage that to get buyers in the door that don't have representation and make them think they're going to get some kind of a deal on the house that's not listed on the market. Now, I just have a hard time believing that agents out there, these successful agents, the ones that are getting listings in this low inventory market, are actually actively doing something that would hurt their seller clients just to potentially double-end a deal. This is just not what is happening. I'm sure it might happen once in a while, but generally speaking, these agents that are actually winning these listings, the ones that have found so much success in this low inventory market, they're not out there blatantly lying to their sellers about how to list their homes, how to promote their listings off market, and that they're going to get a better price for their property if they list it on a private exclusive. We're just having real conversations with our sellers out there and understanding what is going to be the best fit for them. And oftentimes they end up in a situation where a faster timeline or getting a little bit of insight on the market and understanding what their home is actually going to sell for, they're totally comfortable selling off market and not dealing with the hassle. A lot of people do not want to deal with the hassle of open houses, clearing out of their own property every weekend, moving the kids around, shuffling things, cleaning the property. It can be a nightmare for most people, especially if they're working with an inexperienced agent. So a lot of these sellers just want a streamlined and easy path forward. And oftentimes that means testing the market through a private exclusive. And if they get an offer that they're happy with, they're going to take it. So let me be very clear here. No reputable agent is going to sellers and guaranteeing that they're as likely to make as much money for their home if they market it on private exclusive as they would if they rolled it out onto the MLS. It's just not happening. They understand that sellers are not that naive, and they're not going to roll the dice on a listing appointment that they're trying to get by lying to them the second they walk in the door about private exclusives. It's just not happening. So who are private exclusives actually for? Well, first of all, they are not for everyone. They are not a replacement for the MLS. They are a tool, and like any tool, they work best in the right situation. So these are best for sellers that are not ready to go public, sellers who value discretion, sellers who are testing price thresholds, and sellers who are preparing for a full launch. Guys, real estate is not a one-size-fits-all. If there's anyone out there telling you there's only one right way to do things, they are oversimplifying a very, very personal decision. If you are considering selling in the next year, or you know someone that's considering selling, you want to talk through private exclusives and what that looks like for you, you want to talk through traditional listing and what that looks like, or you want to talk about sort of a phased approach where we incorporate both, we are absolutely happy to talk about what that looks like for you, talk you through it. No pressure, just education. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you gained a little bit more clarity about private exclusive listings.